countdown over, which means we are live, assuming that all worked, and I'm honestly never sure. The internet is a strange and mysterious place, and even when I think I understand how things work, it can still throw me off. So, hello, Megaleech and Chris. Nice to see you. Hump day, past the halfway mark for the week. Downslide into the weekend from here. Oh, yeah. So, I'm pretty happy about that. That we're heading into the second half of the week. My work week has been uneventful. Like, nothing terrible happened, which is a plus, I guess. And, things are going well. I'm getting results. The boss seems to think I do good work. So, yay. Frank Mullen on Facebook. Hello. And if you're wondering, Frank, why I mentioned you on Facebook, because more people watch via YouTube. So I see all the comments in a little thing there, and but the people on YouTube don't. So just so they know, I'm not talking to myself. I often mention when I'm saying hello to someone who's on one of the different platforms, because thanks to the magic of StreamYard, I'm streaming this to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch simultaneously. Dun, dun, dun. Chris, you need a camel commercial. I'm not sure exactly what that's a reference to, but anyway. Nobody, good evening to you. Good to see you. And it's just good to be cruising on through the week. Just cruising, So I'm saying, like, when my beard always curls off to the side and it fucking shits me. And, maybe I should put grooming products. Maybe I should put beard oil in there. That might make a difference, but I'm really lazy. You thought you were on YouTube as Two Tank Frank. No, I'm seeing your comments via Facebook. Chris, I have not seen a commercial where a camel is excited for Hump Day. I'm assuming that's American commercial. We do get some American commercials, but we do not get all American commercials. Chris, fuck shaving. No, don't take any of that dirty talk around here. Good question, nobody. How is everybody tonight? How's everybody doing? It certainly is a weird fucking time we find ourselves in. And not doing 100% is completely understandable. Like, you don't even have to have a reason. You don't have to say, oh, because of X, I don't feel great or whatever. Just like, no, not things, not great. Not great. That is a perfectly rational response to the world at the moment. Good. Doing okay, Chris. Good to hear it. This is getting close to the longest I let my beard grow, too. I actually let it grow. I actually probably let it go quite a bit longer a few years ago. When big beards were all hipsterish and in. That was the longest I let my beard grow. And here we have, there's an interloper. Young Mr. Angry made me some fried chicken for dinner and said, did you like it? And I said, yeah, it's good. You go, oh, cool. So can you make me a dessert cocktail as payback? And okay, that seems fair. All right, so I've got a cup. I'll make it in a shaker because that's the best way to blend the stuff I'm putting in. Do you want a particular fruit flavor in it, seeing it's dessert? Or do you want it to be chocolate flavored? Okay, well, give me the strawberry syrup then. I don't have any strawberry alcohols. So.
Or maybe do chocolate liqueurs on this one.
Chocolate and caramel. Okay, that's actually, that sounds good, actually. All right. So I'm pre-forming this. Get your cocktail shaker. All right, bit of ice so it's nice. And I'll do the dirty dump. I'll chuck all the ice from the shaker. Right, so ice. Make it very desserty. Actually, what might be fun is the white chocolate liqueur as well. White chocolate liqueur. All right. What else should I put in a dessert cocktail? Just coming up with a master plan here. Two-Tank Frank, there you are. What are you liking it? This is lockdown hair. This is not having my hair cut in many months. And Good Spirit, hello. Yeah, Chris, he is 20. Okay, I'm just letting that on just in case someone's gonna search for a bit of inspiration. If I put dessert cocktails, well, of course, Brandy Alexander. That's what should go in, some brandy. Banana cream pie with rum chata. A chocolate martini, a dark and fluffy. That sounds pretty weird. Salted caramel martini, sugar cookie martini, key lime pie martini. Oof, so we're going to put caramel, chocolate, and this. All right, actually, I'm going to get my jigger so I know how much I'm putting in. Actually, some weird K-pop thing. I just heard little voices that made me think of K-pop. All right. Yeah, I should put a little bit of brandy in this. That'll make it a winter warmer. All right. Okay. Maybe some milk, actually. Ooh, buttermilk. Buttermilk in a cocktail. There's a little bit of buttermilk left. I'm just going to see if someone tells me that's a crazy idea for a cocktail. I'm going to just put in buttermilk cocktail. See if a recipe comes up. Oh yeah, buttermilk cocktails. Of course, there's lots of buttermilk cocktails. I just thought so. I just wanted validation, essentially. What does this person say to put in a buttermilk cocktail? Vodka, Lily Blanc, buttermilk, whey. Okay. Yep. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of buttermilk in as well. Okay, got it sorted out. Hey, Celtic King, doing good. Two-Tank Frank, you watched the stream the other night. Nobody has longer hair. Nobody has way longer hair. Nobody has incredibly luxurious hair. Alrighty. So we'll put in Advocat, custody liqueur, some white chocolate liqueur, Irish cream liqueur. These are all comparatively low alcohol. So Irish cream. What was I going to put in? Some buttermilk. Ooh, this is going to be a desserty drink for sure. And some brandy. Yes, Celtic King. Toby has pretty long hair. Toby also has luxurious hair. No getting around that. Some brandy and some caramel syrup. Oh, nice. Nobody just washed and conditioned your hair. Sounding very luxurious. And good evening, Safa. Put some caramel syrup in there. And time for the shaky. Let's get it apart. Do the dirty dump. Ooh, there you go. Oh man, that tastes pretty good. There you go, caramel dessert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the dinner. All right. So there we go. 2 tank. Do I like White Russians? I don't like coffee. So if I was going to make something like a White Russia, I'd probably substitute something chocolate. Oh no, nobody. Your shoulders just cracked. I think I was only like mid to late 20s the first time I thought I'd thrown my back out trying to open a window that was stuck. That was bad. That was bad. Oh yes, after that fuckhead who has spread the Rona all around the country towns. What a piece of shit. What a fucking piece of shit. Honestly. Ugh. Hey, Catherine. Oh, there you go. Catherine's also washed her hair. Long and luxurious. We're the long, luxurious hair bunch. This might not look long, but this is long for me. Being able to sort of bunch hair out like this. And again, as I said a couple of times, and I'm not exaggerating, the longest my hair's been in decades. I don't usually let it grow long. No, nobody. Someone got shot near where you live. That's the thing. Yes, after apparently that guy's getting referred to the cops, they've decided he's just breached too many fucking rules. And because when they're trying to contact trace, they're very cautious about coming down on someone like a ton of bricks, because then they might not cooperate. And the contact tracing generally can be more important than dealing with a person individually. But I reckon this guy is in a spot of bother. Celtic King, and Mrs. Angry is in charge of massages for me, and I have not heard from AZ for a couple of days. Although I think he's kind of like Candyman. You just say his name several times into a mirror, and I think he appears. So, you know, if we mention AZ several times, he might just appear. Like I get a ding on what's the day? Wednesday. Keep having to remind myself what day of the fucking week it is. And I think I got paid today, which is always pretty fucking exciting. Yes, there you go, make it AZ. I'm going to check that I don't have any messages from AZ. Let me quickly... Where's that? I'm going to do that. And that. Oh, I just realized what this is doing. Okay, that's fine. My phone's doing a thing that I'm not completely on board with, but that's okay. No AZ messages. Nobody, do you have trouble hearing AZ, do you? You can always get him another microphone. That's not that hard. Oh, I see, Frank. You got 2 settings, personal. So that's why you got a Facebook notification. Well, yeah. If you're on Facebook, you would have got a Facebook notification, I guess. So, everyone loves AZ Celtic King. Yeah, I don't know that AZ needs a more sensitive microphone. He just maybe needs to speak closer to his computer webcam. I think I gave him a webcam with a built-in mic, I think. But, you know, we can always deal with that another time. I also worry giving AZ an additional piece of technology, because I think he's probably using his tablet these days, because the tablet's better than things. Nobody. You definitely have a good mic, which is good. Yes, Chris, how could you not like AIDS? He does rub some people the wrong way. That's the horrible truth. But then again, we all do. No matter who you think is the best person in the world, there's someone who hates them. So I try and explain to people, even like on the celebrity or the musician front or whatever. Say like, your favorite performer, that you think they're the most talented, they're the most wonderful, and then think of who you hate the most, who you think is just a talentless hack, who's overrated, who's a piece of shit, and think about how you think about that performer. Someone feels exactly the same way about your favorite performer. And I think it's important to keep that sort of thing in mind to give you some perspective, because we all have our own tastes, and I think naturally you think your taste is correct and people who disagree with you are wrong. That's natural, but I think it's quite a good reality check if you just acknowledge that what you think about who you think is the worst artist performer in the world, someone thinks the same about your favorite. Same thing, with friends. No matter how great you think someone is, there's someone who fucking hates them. And yeah, maybe they're the arsehole. Exactly. But yeah. Chris, you got a long list of women that hate you. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, Two-Tang Frank. Excellent parallel analogy. Don't strive to be liked by everyone, because remember, you don't like everyone. So, yeah. But no, that's the natural way to feel. I mean, jokes and all, but it's natural to feel when someone's, preferences are in complete conflict with yours. It's natural to think they're wrong. That nothing else makes sense. Like people who think they're smart and put forward the stupidest fucking arguments, like when you disagree with someone, and when it's a topic where it can just be a thing of disagreement. Who's the best football team? Who's the best band? Who's the best singer? Who's the best whatever? Who's the best writer? There are technical elements in all of those that can be measured, but there's also simply the personal preference, which can't really be measured. And when your personal preference differs to someone else, I've had people think they were being smart by saying something along the lines of, like, I have to agree with them, or I'm ignorant, or I'm prejudiced, or I'm something. I was like, dude, I disagree. And it's like, saying I have to acknowledge that you're, I was like, that's like telling myself I'm insane. I like this more, you like that more, but I'm going to say you're right, but I still like this more. That means I'm insane. But anyway, people are dumb as hell. Peter, hello, how are you? And Wrestling Days, Big Pat, yay. Crapo Zappo. And you're right, no two people have exactly the same set of friends. So, yeah, there's a lot of crossover with friend groups, obviously. But yeah. So, Chris, disagreeing will get you blocked by Democrats on Twitter. I don't think blocking is a bad thing. I'm a big fan of BAMO, B-A-M-O, block and move on. If someone's being an asshole and demanding your time, and it demands, like, why? Fuck you. So if I piss someone off and they block me, yeah, that's cool. There's probably been cases where I've been a little upset by it and going, oh, what, they block me? But fuck, Life goes on. And like I've had people, it hasn't happened for a little while, but I've had people come on this stream like, oh, but you're against free speech because you blocked me on Twitter for no reason. And I just go, well, that's a lie, isn't it? What? I didn't block you for no reason. I had a reason. And in fact, you know what that reason is. You know exactly what you did to get me to block you. And then you usually have to admit, well, okay, yeah, I know why you blocked me, but I don't know reasons. Well, that's not what you said. You said I blocked you for no reason. I had a reason, and it's a good reason to me, and it honestly is fucking irrelevant what you think of my reason. But P11 hair, the long lockdown hair, and the grey. Not only is this the longest my hair's been in decades, it's certainly the greyest. I haven't coloured it for a couple months. I do have some purple colour I was thinking of putting through. I'm torn between finally leaving the colour behind and redoing the colour. I haven't made a final decision. Big Pat, one of your old friends dies. That's sad, buddy. That's sad, but unfortunately, that's the human condition, my friend. None of us are here forever. Guilty King VD might make a podcast to abuse you. I'd be amused if anyone listened to it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to waste my time with it. Megalish, you think embrace the silver? Safa, is it stress? No, my friend, it is the natural progression of aging. This is not stress-related grey hair. This is just letting my natural colour grow out and not recoloring it. Yeah, I'm kind of getting into the colour, so I really don't know. We shall see. And look, honestly, I have to admit, I'm all things being equal, I'm not going to have to look for a job until at least June next year, and I will admit that I color my hair before I go for job interviews just to get around ageism, but I'm not actually sure that's such a big deal in my field. But we shall see. We shall see. Safi, your mum does a red color in her hair. Cool. Yeah, sometimes I color my hair brown. Sometimes it's a little while since I've done red. I usually do this burgundy thing in it. Two Tank Frank, grey hair is a higher form of life. Yes, Peter, it is actually cheaper. Although I actually just get a comparatively cheap supermarket hair dye. After a bit of experimentation, I found one that works really well in my hair. And even if it isn't on special, it only costs $10 or $12. Safa, would I work for Signal Directory? Which, what's the best way to describe Signal Directory? That's the secret part of the army, army intelligence and whatnot. I don't think I'd pass their fucking background check. Have you ever said the government is a bunch of cunts? Yeah, lots. Have you ever said the government should be overthrown? Quite a lot, yes. Have you said the army are all fascists? Maybe. Which I have actually worked for the army, but not as a soldier. But yeah. Safi, you'd love to work for SIGIN. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sort of be in a Chelsea Manning situation. I don't want to be working for somewhere where I may get evidence of something shifty as fuck the government and or military are doing. And no, I can't tell anyone without basically ruining my life. That would suck to actually have found information so you know that the government or the military are doing something dodgy as fuck, but you can't tell anyone. I wouldn't want to be in that position, honestly. Chris, dye your hair blue. Why not? Everyone should once. I think I've put blue color in my hair. I'm not sure. I think I did in my beard and it didn't really hold. But that's the thing. If you work for any intelligence, whether it's like the police or the military, the government or whatever, is basically, you've got to just swallow it if you discover something dodgy as fuck, or your life's going to be at an end. Safadu, I think Assange will get extradited. I think it's looking like he will. It's with Julian Assange. See, I'm one of those clever people who can hold two thoughts in my head at the same time. And one of the thoughts is Julian Assange is a piece of shit. Two is his proposed extradition is horrible government authoritarianism and shouldn't happen. I kind of love that some people can only handle one of those. Assange fans refuse, they foam at the mouth about how evil and totalitarian the moves to extradite him are, and they are, but they feel incapable of acknowledging what a fucking piece of shit Assange is. But then there's some people who fully embrace, geez, that Assange is a piece of shit with some of the stuff he's done. And that kind of stops them from acknowledging the actions of various governments are super fucked, because they are. Wrestling Days, where's my cat? She's around somewhere. Sometimes she comes in, not that much. Chris, Assange is fucked if he gets extradited. He's supposed to be Trump's mate. Helped Trump get elected because he's a fucking misogynist piece. Well, okay. He had very valid reasons for being very anti-Hillary Clinton. Namely, Clinton was part of the political machine that wanted him caught and punished, and she was very much part of that. But the ridiculous fuckery of assuming Trump was telling the truth and that he wasn't a bigger piece of shit than anyone else, that's just dumb as hell. Oh, Chris, the drone striking was a flippant line. She did say it, but it was just being flippant. Oh, thanks, Frank. Drop a like. Can help spread the live stream. Take a moment for entertainment. Thank you, Frank. That's very kind of you to bring that up. Because I always forget to. That's okay. We're hanging. Raiders, good evening to you. Oh, yeah. Clinton is absolutely a war hawk. But the fact that Assange let himself get sucked into the idea that Trump would be in some way better shows that he had just a massive blind spot, because Trump is clearly an abomination and always has been. Chris, you find it difficult to understand how people can push a button and kill whoever they want. Yep. That's a thing. That is absolutely a thing. And it's a disturbing thing. And some real bad stuff gets done by people who are sometimes broadly regarded as good. It just reminded me, because it was Columbus Day recently. One of my favorite memes is from The Good Place, which is a fantastic show on Netflix that you should watch if you've never watched it. It's 5 seasons or something? It's very good. And the story wraps up really well. But The Good Place, is the afterlife. And there's this artificial intelligence character in it who can answer any question. And they're talking about who's in the good place and who's in the bad place. And she goes, fun fact, Christopher Columbus is in the bad place. That's because of all the raping, looting, and genocide. Gecko, hello. Yes, Gecko, I'm actually on board with declaring the same day to be Indigenous Peoples Day. Absolutely. Yeah, Raiders, Assange chose to take sides and lost. And also, look, the years of persecution and there were years of persecution against WikiLeaks and Assange. Kind of drove him at least a little bit insane, and they used to always pride themselves on being non-partisan, just reporting the truth, and then they got really partisan and politically motivated to undermine the Clinton campaign. And again, I understand why he did it. It's just that he's a complete fucking moron for thinking Trump wouldn't be worse. But and there's just several truckloads worth of misogyny in there with how Assange reacted to Clinton. But yeah, like I said, he's a piece of shit. Gecko, did your early voting? Nice. So you see the world nobody. There are people you could punch, and there's people you have punched. That is true. There are two sorts of people in the world. That's true. The people I have. What did I say? If we said his name enough times, the phone would ding. Okay, so I got to send him a link so he can join us. That will just take me a second. All right, I'll tell him. Email here, the link. Candyman. See if he understands why I called him Candyman now. So I told you it would work. If we just said his name multiple times, he would appear. It happens. Gecko, you voted Biden, and importantly, in your local races, voting Democrat as well. Excellent. Because they're as important. I bet AIDSy likes coming in here to feel the love too. Yes, Raiders, exactly. I'd be far more on board with Assange and WikiLeaks if they stayed impartial with the government secrets. But yes, his active collusion with Russians, what an asshole. He called me Sugar Daddy. I don't think he got it. I have to explain it to him when we get here. Yeah, obviously it's been used lots of time, Geckos. Bloody Mary is probably the non-movie one. Candyman's a movie where they do it. And yes, Beetlejuice is another one. Yes. Oh, good question, Safa. What time is the US elections Australian Eastern Daylight Time? The thing is, it's going to drag on for ages, and there probably won't be a definitive result on the election night because there will be an enormous number of mail-in ballots that need to be tallied, which is going to start Trump going fraud. I don't know. I hope he overdoses on the fucking steroids they're giving him now and has a fucking aneurysm at one of his rallies. Man, just while he's in the middle of being hopped up on goofballs talking shit to the crowd, just an artery in his head fucking explodes. Gecko, Assange is a filthy person. He's a piece of shit. But still, the prosecution and attempted extradition of him is totalitarian government overreach. Absolutely. Yeah, Chris, it looks now like Trump's not going to get worse from COVID unless something's happening in his body and it's being masked by whatever the fuck they are pumping him full of. Because he's hopped up on goofballs when he's making fucking public appearances. Who knows? Yes, I saw that, Gecko. He's playing Macho Man, the song about gay sex. Good for him. promoting the celebration of the gay lifestyle. Good going, Trump. People say I never say anything positive about Trump. Good on him for doing a dance to celebrate gay sex. That's good. That's a thing. Chris, there's something wrong with him. Dude, there's something wrong with him because they pumped him full of fucking experimental drugs that are doing fuck knows what to his system. I don't know. He could crash at any time. I don't know. It's impossible to know for sure what's happening. It looks like he's not going to get worse from COVID because he probably would have by now, probably. Fuck knows what all the drugs they've pumped into him are doing to him, if he's going to collapse or whatever. Who fucking knows? Like I said, just if a fucking artery in his brain exploded in the middle of one of his fucking rallies, that'd be some poetic justice right there. Not that I'm mean or anything, but, you know. Yeah, Gecko, so that's the thing. He's not definitely out of the woods with COVID complications. I mean, I think on balance, it looks most likely that he isn't actually going to get much worse. But we can't know for sure because we don't know what the fuck they're pumping him full of. Fucking anything could happen. But yeah, if he hasn't got worse in the next couple of days, then it's reasonably certain he's not going to get worse. But fuck, who knows? I'm looking at another buttermilk cocktail here. Maybe I can make that for myself. Oof, I could. This is vodka and Lille Blanc. I could use my Cokie Americano, buttermilk, lemon juice, elderflower liqueur, dash of bitters. Oh, there's something to do a reverse dry shake on it. I could do that. Yeah, no, nobody. I regard it impossible that the diagnosis for Trump's COVID was fake. I think anyone who seriously traffics in that is being a paranoid idiot on a level of flat earthers. The number of people who would have to be involved in a lie, and Trump was clearly unwell for a couple of days. Yeah, anyone who seriously puts about that Trump never had COVID is like the Q idiots, just a paranoid freak. But even if the Rona doesn't get him, I'm actually serious. The amount of fucking experimental drugs they pumped into him, a morbidly obese late 70s man under a lot of stress, that shit could kill him like that. He could just, without warning, just we live in really fucking weird times, is all I'm saying. Really fucking weird times. Gecko powered through a bottle of Trader Joe's sweet red wine. Ooh, God, $3 a bottle. That's dangerous. Gecko, it'd be super awesome if Lindsey Graham got it. And fuck it in the Senate. Turtle Man. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, God, why is his name escaping me? Why does his name escape me? Oh, God, it's really fucking annoying me. Glee, hello, good evening to you. And yeah, good spirit, the Q conspiracy mob and the flat earthers do my head is. Mitch McConnell, thank you, Gecko. I knew someone would know. Megaleech, Mitch McConnell, yes. Oh, God. I didn't see that, Raiders. Sky pushing hydrochloroquine because Palmer bought millions of doses. And there's no evidence at all that hydrochloroquine helps. It's a malaria drug. Yeah, and because there is a respiratory element, who knows? And I know there is ongoing study, but I don't think anyone serious in the medical world is holding out much hope for hydrochloroquine being of much help. So you think my grey hair looks dignified too? Well, if we've got that illusion happening, I don't want to get in. No. Celtic King, I have my own personal hugger here in the house, thank you. All good. And I'm abso-fucking-lutely not hugging people from outside my house at the moment. Glee, you like Garnier. The one I use is might actually be Garnier, because I know I experimented with a couple and I found the one that worked best for me, and it's a comparatively cheap one. Yeah, I can't remember. I've got a box of it in the bathroom, but Trendy Trev, the only thing that's good for you when you have too much alcohol is not having too much alcohol. Cyber hugs are excellent, Celtic King. Thank you. Yeah, hydration is good. Like if you've drunk too much, drink water before you go to bed. And the next day when you're feeling fucked, stay hydrated. It's not a cure, but one of the elements in the headache can be dehydrate. If you don't hydrate, the hangover will be worse. Oh, there you go, nobody. You've got some platonic hugs from your church group. Loving that. Absolutely. Again, in normal circumstances, I'm very much about the platonic hugs. Like when we had YouTube meetups, we're all big huggers and whatnot. So not right now. Not till there's a fucking vaccine. I'm doing this because this is how I say hello to people now. Finger guns. Hey, how you doing? Stay the fuck over there. Gecko, did StreamYard... No, I saw you, you need a hug box. I'm not actually sure what a hug box is. So it's like, okay, wonder what's happening in AZ World that he hasn't joined yet. Maybe if I say his name a few more times, he will actually appear. I wonder if I got any silly photos of him on here. I hold up a silly photo of AZ and say his name multiple times. Delete. Just deleting some things. Don't want to keep that. Don't want to keep that. Oh god, this is a wild one, unrelated to anything we're talking about. But this is on Twitter the other day. There's this right-wing fuckwit. I think he's American, like a right-wing YouTube fuckwit. He's one of those really fucking vile, lying, hypocritical right-wing cunts. Like he keeps saying, "Oh no, I'm not hard right. I'm not all right. I'm not," and fucking pals around with outright fascist groups. Tim Pool, he's a fucking piece of shit. He's a liar and a hypocrite and a fucking coward. And like so many of the fucking right-wing talking heads in America, thick as shit, like so ignorant, like so fucking stupid. They classic Dunning-Kruger. They are so sure they're smart and they're so fucking stupid. He did one, like he's talking about indigenous, and this was around Columbus Day, the indigenous people saying, still pissed off about all the stolen land. And this was this guy's attempt to be smart. It's going, oh, how long and far out until it's irrational to demand back stolen land? I'm part Irish. Would it be weird if I started smashing shit, demanding back Northern Ireland? I'm just like, what the fuck do you think has been happening ever since the partition? You fucking, and continues to this day. And one of my favorite Irish comedian podcaster, Blind Boy, responded, his response was, Jesus Christ, you've broken my brain with this. I don't even know where to start. It's like, this fuckwit thinks he's smart and he's so fucking stupid. It's like that classic line where H. Bomber Guy ripped into Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's going, just say, for instance, that global warming happens and the coastal waters are going to rise. They're going to rise 6 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, and people saying that's a terrible thing. But do you think that the people with the houses there aren't just going to move and sell their houses? And it's like, as H. Bomber Guy said, sell them to who? Fucking Aquaman? It's like, these idiots are so convinced they're smart and they're so fucking stupid. Earth Warrior, hello. Oh. Gecko, yes, I have. There is quite a push with a lot of food products and others to take insensitive racial references out of their products, like plantation rum. The history of rum is the history of slavery, basically, and to actually mention the plantation in your product name is a bit on the nose, really, bit on the nose. So plantation are apparently underway with plans to change their name, so they're not called Plantation anymore, because that's a bit fucking tacky. So New South Wales got more cases than Victoria. Yeah, New South Wales is this fucking close to. They've been on the razor's edge for months, and they're this fucking close to it getting out of control. Oh, Gecko! I saw that one. The butter called Land O'Lakes that had, yes, their image of a Native American woman. Got rid of the Native American, but still the land. So that's a pretty good line, actually. They took away the Indian, but they kept the land. W Fanning, there was a rum called Bly's Rum. Yes, for the Rum Rebellion. Trady Trev, you love Macca's taking Hungry Jacks to court. It's a real thing for the Big Jack. Where did that end up? I know the judge seemed to think that the whole thing was shit. Raiders, what do we reckon Jackie Lambie is threatening about Morrison? I'm at a loss as to what you could say about Morrison that was shit that we don't already know. And yes, the Koala Killer survived no confidence vote by 1 vote. That's not very convincing. Oh, dear. Oh, Mega Leech, that's brilliant. A third burger place chimed in with a burger they call the Big Mac Jack. Excellent. Nice. And that's the FW in the EU. Macca's lost their trademark, which was hilarious. No, but I imagine that is a good way to end a conversation successfully. If you think someone was an LNP supporter, just tell them that LNP are the servants of the devil. Raiders on the Medivac bill. Yeah, I still don't know that there's anything that we don't already know. We know so much vile shit about Morrison, and it doesn't seem to matter. We'll see. Glee, you reckon Gladys is gone by Christmas? I reckon you might be right. That's just wild. That whole story of like, yep, banging a dude who's being caught up in a major corruption scandal. Like, who the fuck? Guilty King, this is just cranberry juice, actually. For something slightly different. Instead of my blood orange and lemonade, I'm cranberry and lemonade. It's a big bottle of cranberry juice. It's not getting drunk in the fridge. And I thought, I should drink some of that. And so I did. So, yep. So, yeah, we just live in super weird times. I did notice in the Guardian today we're talking about various people who are going like, ooh, findings from the investigation into the fuck up with quarantine in Melbourne. Is that going to result in Dan Andrews going like, because the fucking LNP are just being absolute cunts with stupid stunts, and that rhymes. I'm a poet. Didn't know it. Wait, did I miss Kirsten? Oh yeah, Helly and hello. Sorry. The chat just went by really quickly. And yes, I heard Raiders. I didn't see it, but I heard that Dan Andrews spoke highly of positive dealings with Gladysborough Jiggly and straight down the camera barrel, apparently, just wanting to say, like, yeah, you guys are all fucking me over as if you're trying to get me to go in the boot on someone else, and I'm not going to do it. Tradie Chef, what do I think on the comedian Jordan Shanks the New South Wales Premier? Told it, now I've seen it. I think it's weird how much influence he has. I'm finding that really humorous, actually. Safi, would Dan Andrews be a PM? If he makes it through this fucking COVID bullshit and then through to the next election and wins the next election, I wouldn't be surprised if his thoughts turn to federal politics, but who knows? Celtic King and Toby, good evening to you chaps. Take care. Yes, we live in weird times where a YouTube comedian has a weird amount of influence on politics. So, which again, as I think he's pointed out, why Labor is being so friendly to him, probably because all the established media are being so unreasonably fucking hostile to them. Gecko, you're out. Good night to you, my friend. Take care. Take good care of yourself. Raiders, you reckon Friendly Geordie should deal with... There's a funny thing I read in the Guardian today, like it was saying with all the pressure on Andrews, he's helped by two things. One, that nobody much in the public, and certainly not in the Labor Party, has any sort of appetite for replacing the Premier in these rather tense times. And also there's no effective opposition from the Liberal Party. The state Liberal Party are just a fucking joke in Victoria. They suck so much. You love to see it. Ooh, nice. Kirsten back from Costco. Giant snacks, many giant snacks. I still can't go to Costco because it's more than 5 kilometers from my house. Abigail, had your final session of an epic D&D campaign. 4 years, levels 1 to 20. Heartfelt and hard to go. That does sound epic. That sounds absolutely epic and quite the milestone to actually something that's gone for that long. Very epic undertaking. Kudos to your D&D crew. Your Earth account on Facebook was suspended twice in 2 weeks. 30 days, but you never suspended. Must have broke their prison system. Your jailbreak. It's a jailbreak. Tradie Trev, have I been in the same content? It's honestly, it's COVID, man. It is absolutely COVID kind of fucked me up. I thought I was just saying the same things, and I don't know. It's just this tense, fraught time, and I started doing these live streams more or less as therapy. Oh, God, the stuff that was in that cocktail is all sort of separated. I want to rinse my jigger because it looks real fucking gross, honestly. Don't even want to get into the details of what it looks like. You probably wouldn't see anything if I said it just looks gross. So I'm just going to go over here and rinse it out. That's a bit better. That's a bit better. All right. It was just looking super gross. Super gross. I'll put the buttermilk back in the fridge. Fridge. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah, so there are very similar products in Costco Australia and Costco US. There are a lot of American products in Costco Australia that you absolutely cannot get anywhere else but Costco in Australia. Glee, I tell you what, if we get restriction free and you want to do a Costco trip, I will take you. We'll get it on my membership, but that's probably a long way off. It's probably a long way off before we're allowed to do that, actually. Yeah. Safa, does Oz Costco have US cheese? The cheese they have varies, actually. They do this one, they call it Mexican cheese, and it's usually a mix of, it's like really finely shredded, a mix of light yellow, darker yellow, and bright orange cheese, 3 types of cheese in it. Safi, you want to go to Costco too? Well, when the COVID's over, buddy, when the COVID's over, we'll see what we can do. I mean, it's not that exciting. It's kind of interesting the first time you do it. And everything's huge. All the things you buy are huge. So you've either got to be feeding a lot of people, because Costco was always intended to be a wholesale store, like it was where shops bought stuff. And to get it like for home, either you need a lot of freezer space or to be feeding a lot of people, because everything's in real fucking big serves. So that's very kind, Raiders. You donate the cost of a Costco's membership. How much is it? Costco membership fee in Australia. Membership in Costco Australia. See, I don't even remember what I paid. $60 a year. Valid in Costco locations worldwide. So I can go to Costco in America. So membership is $60 or $55 if you're a business, which I actually am. So I save a big $5. Glee, I'll push the trolley as well. Okay, then they are big trolleys. They absolutely are. The US cheese in an aerosol can. Yes, disgusting, but I had to do it when I was in the US. And if Costco sold that, I would get some. I absolutely would. Tradie Trev. Look, some days I think of doing it. I probably will. No, it's $60, Glee, not $100, and that's for a year. And so for that to be worthwhile, you have to go a couple times a year. Man, some people go a couple times a month. That's a good question, Megalich. Is it cheaper in US dollars if you can use it worldwide? But you'd need a US address. Yes. So See, Costco is vaguely ethical as well, as opposed to like Walmart, which is straight up evil. Not that there's any Walmart in Australia, but they're straight up evil. Apparently, another one of the big box stores in the US, Sam's Club, is quite ethical. So it's very profitable company, doesn't have the huge profits of a Walmart, but people behind Sam's Club saying we're trying to be sustainable. That Walmart shit's not sustainable. Harbchan on Twitch, hello, good morning to you. Treasure Trev, your boss makes you install Costco lamps because your electrical wholesaler can't find a cheaper product. Yeah, if you buy the bulk stuff, then it can be quite cheap. Well, there you go. There's an offer, Glee. Raiders is offering to PayPal you a Costco membership. So, yeah, nobody. Obviously, Costco would work with that sort of going together with friends and co-op. But only a limited number of people, I think like only 2 people can go in on the card or something. There's a limited number of people because they're actually trying to stop things like that from happening. So you can't split it at the register either. Yeah, so there'd be a small effort on your part to divvy up the cost afterwards. But one person has to pay for all the shopping. And you'd have to do the reimbursement among the cooperative later. Chris, if Walmart owns Sam's Club, that's a relatively recent development because I read quite an in-depth article on Sam's Club a while back, and that wasn't the case. Now, the way big companies and conglomerates work, that's absolutely possible. Harb, do I enjoy seeing Trumpolini doing the white man overbite dancing tradition? Yeah, we're saying, and it was to YMCA. That's Trump celebrating random gay sex in San Francisco. Kirsten, you spend up hundreds of dollary dues. I usually do, particularly if you start buying booze. They sell those giant bottles of booze, which I find A, hilarious, and B, cheap. And I've actually run out. I do not have any Costco. Oh, no, the Tito's is from Costco, but it's not a comically large bottle. I have previously bought comically large bottles of vodka and scotch. I just finished the scotch actually, and bourbon. I think I got a 1 liter Irish whiskey from Costco there, but the comically large ones are like 1.8 to 2 liters thing. Yeah, Harvey danced to Macho Man. That's what I mean. It's like, Trump's tribute to gay sex. Okay? I'm looking it up, Chris. I don't doubt you. Do Walmart own Sam's Club? American chain membership owner stores owned and operated by Walmart. So I should have known you were right. And it's named after Walmart father Sam Walton. There you go. So I don't know if I was completely wrong about the chain. I don't know. But you are 100% right, Chris. 100%. Kirsten, you bought a gin advent calendar for $92. Nice. Excellent purchase. Clearly, everyone else stopped Trump using their music. Yeah, I have no idea who owns the rights to Village People music, because that was always a commercial enterprise rather than a band. So yeah, all the guys who danced around on stage were just a front for the business. But yeah. Oh yes, Glee, I've seen gin advent calendars as well. Raiders, yes, I do remember that show, The Waltons, when we were young. That was the heartwarming story of a rural family during the Depression, if I remember rightly. Chris used to buy random shit at Walmart. Sorry, at Costco. Maybe it was Costco. I don't know. Thought it was Sam's Club, but yeah, 100% right about Sam's Club and Walmart. So I was fundamentally mistaken there. that is a good point, Safa. Queensland LNP must be desperate. But no, see, Scummo's actually popular against all the fucking odds. Tradie Trev, I'm not telling you Justin Bieber's fake. Justin Bieber is talented. Justin Bieber is a multi-instrumentalist. And while the stuff he releases is probably, really sort of auto-tune, fucking overproduced, he can sing really well. But yeah, I mean, village people are like the Spice Girls. They're just a front for a money-making machine. Raiders, Walton's was a chain store in... Oh, is that what you were saying? Oh, wait. Walton's. Yeah. I think there was a chain of events. Harvey Norman came out of Walton's. Jerry Harvey worked at Walton's. He started another chain as a spin-off from Walton's. And then he kind of got screwed over by his business partner in that spin-off. And then he started Harvey Norman, which became bigger than all of them. Kirsten, you and Costco are great vendors. Easy to deal with, pay their bills on time. That's what you want. No. I actually got that wrong. Walton's was independent. There was a chain called Norman Ross. Then Jerry Harvey brought into it. Wait, okay? If I can get it in my head. Yeah, Harvey Norman came out of Norman Ross. Did that come out of Walters? I'm trying to remember. Harvey Norman, Australian-based. I'm going to look at their Wikipedia entry. International, yeah, Norman Ross. They came out of Norman Ross. But there was something with him having falling out with business partners in the past. McEwen's became Bunnings. They all do. Yes, Tradie Trev. Yes, a lot of people call Harvey Norman hardly normal. That's true. And yes, Glee, auto-tune is very fake. I was waiting for another message from him. I think he just wants to say hello and then say goodbye. So he just wants to say a quick hello. So I'm telling him definitely do that. Come in and say a quick hello. All right, I'm going to try looking at Walton's department store. Walton's Stores, Australia. Walton's department stores. Founded by John Walton. Yeah, okay. Expanded, bought out Anthony Horden. Alan Bond bought Walton's in 1981, but was a financial disaster like everything Alan Bond did. It disappeared when he sold it in 1987. It took him 6 years to destroy it. Yeah, okay. I knew Walton's went Norman Ross. Yeah, I was right. Walton stores rebranded it as Venture and Norman Ross. So yeah, I was right. Walton's came from Norman Ross, and then Harvey Norman, and I think Harvey Norman got fucked over by his partner at Norman Ross, and then started Harvey Norman. I think. Anyway, wait, here he is. Sorry, he's going to say hello.
Hello.
In case you missed when I called you Candyman on the message, it's because people were asking me when were you going to be here, and I said, I don't know, say his name 3 times like Candyman, and I think he appears, and it worked. That was an actual thing we did, and it worked.
Yes, you'll find I'm often that way when you're asleep.
Yes, supernatural.
When you think someone's watching me dream, protecting me, sort of protecting.
Sorta.
Yeah.
Sorta.
How you doing? How is everyone?
Everyone's been doing pretty good. We're talking about everything as usual. Recent conversations are about who remembers old. We were talking about chain stores and who shopped at what one, and do you remember this one and that one?
Alan Bond brought home the Australia's Cup, and he will always be remembered for that.
And he never paid people. It was hilarious when he set up the thing in Western Australia to defend, and he hired all these companies, and they started sending him invoices, and he started not paying them. And they're like, hey, what? He goes, you should be honored just to be associated with America's Cup. Like, and it's like, I'd be as honored to be associated with fucking payment on this invoice. But yeah, no, only Alan Bond could go broke selling beer to Australians. With Swan Brewing. I was just like, he failed so many times. And we found out later it was because he was just a massive fucking scammer. And they all turned out that way. Trump somehow is still afloat, even though we know beyond any doubt he's a fake and a scammer. He's hundreds of millions of dollars in debt to other people. But who else was there? Rene, what's his name? And Christopher Skase was the notorious one. He's a great businessman who turned out to just be a criminal and a thief. But what the fuck? Yeah, right. As he's saying, it's like Trump going bankrupt with a casino. Casinos are a license to print money. How the fuck do you lose money on the? They change the rules so they can't possibly lose. If they look like they're losing on one form of gambling, they just change the rules so they can't. But Trump managed to fucking bankrupt a casino.
You know you can't play 2-up in a casino.
You can, but they don't let you bet very much. There's not big money on.
You can't put 2-up like proper 2-up casino rules. Can't play because it's actually too even. It's still weighted to the house.
No, the Star Casino in Sydney does 2-up, but you can't bet a lot of money on it. They're never going to lose. It's a novelty. I've been there. I've been there at the Star Casino in Sydney, and they do 2-up.
What are their rules like?
They follow the proper rules. It's just a novelty. The amount of money involved is quite low. They make money hand over fist on the pokies and and cards and whatnot. But so yes, the rules in 2-up are very close to fair, much more so than anything else in the casino. But they also don't let you bet a lot of money on 2-up. So it's just come in spinner, and It's just a novelty. There's no significant amount of money involved in it.
But even the term "come-in spinner" is basically slang for bring on the about to be fooled or plucked turkey.
Yeah.
So, the fairest gambling game there is still weighted toward the house, and the casinos can't handle the idea that there might be a percentage loss of profit in a gambling game.
Yeah. Oh, as Megaleech points out, roulette is possibly the fairest thing in casino, with the just slightly less than 50-50 chance of red and black, because there's the one green 00 as well. So that's mathematically the odds are always, but they don't make their money off people doing red and black bets. It's all the enticing bets, bet on this and whatnot, because the payout's bigger. So people get enticed to do the more adventurous bets that never pay off or very rarely pay off. But yeah. So you were just going to say a quick hello to the sexy people who are wanting to see your sexiness?
I was going to say a quick hello and say, oh yeah, so good to be on your device. Thank you for letting me be on your device. I'm not going to hang around for very long tonight.
That's all right.
Got very important business meetings.
Very important stuff.
Important. It's got to be in a thing. Yes, matters of vital urgency and concern.
Yeah. That's good. That's all good.
So who's in town tonight?
Sorry, what? Oh, who's in the chat?
Tonight?
What do you mean who's in town?
Who's in the chat tonight?
Yes, okay. Well, say hello to everyone. There's Nobody and Trady Trev and Megaleech and Earth Warata and Alexa and Safa and Glee and Chris and Kirsten and Lee was there and Big Pat was there. I don't know if he's still around. Been a lot of people coming through. Been a happy crowd. Been a very happy crowd.
It's good. Happy crowd's a good crowd.
Happy crowd's a good crowd. Very good. Very, very good. That's yes. So yeah, it's just been the usual kickback and laughing at Gladys Berejiklian in New South Wales getting done over for rooting that guy that she shouldn't have been rooting.
Who was she rooting?
Guy who got done massively for corruption, right? He was the member for Wagga Wagga, and he got done really massively for corruption. And she was rooting, but he got done a couple of years ago.
Was that for the water thing?
I forget what specifically it was, but there's a big ICAC investigation now, and because when he was under investigation, they were tapping his phone, and Gladys and he were having the phone talks, and they were like, Gladys, you probably should front this because we know you were banging him. And the fact that she continued the affair, like she made him resign from the Liberal Party and resign from Parliament, said you need to get gone because that's unacceptable, but kept rooting him. And so all I can think is the sex must have been really good. But
they don't fucking care.
And Raiders said he was running a business out of his parliamentary office. But he got done massively for corruption, and she kept up with him, and I was just like, that is some of the worst judgment I have ever heard of.
But it also shows how much they care about office and public service. I mean, it's simply a means to advance their either contacts, networking, or interests. And that's all. I mean, it's just big interests club.
Yeah, you award huge government contracts to some private company with nudge wink, you're going to give me a seat on the board when I retire from politics.
Yeah. And then and that's all it is. And then You know, oh, you've been bad, you've got to go, you're in disgrace. Oh, I'm in disgrace. But not really.
Not really.
It's not like anyone's going to not talk to you again. It's not like they're going to not continue to go through the corrupt deal with you. You know.
Oh.
I remember being a kid and being stunned when I found out these royal commissions don't actually charge anyone.
No, they just investigate.
They just investigate, and then basically it's up to the police and the prosecutors to charge people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't.
That is true.
You know, people just walk away. You know, they go, oh, they've been shamed and it's been terrible. And it's like, it wasn't terrible. Nothing fucking happened. I get done for stealing a packet of Band-Aids from Coles, and I'm down the fucking jailhouse for the night, getting woompatard in the pursuit, and then fucking these guys steal billions of dollars of taxpayers' money and get told, oh, you're bad. That's it. There's nothing else there. You know, they're ordered to arrive at a house.
Yeah. I'm just saying in the chat, Alexa is saying that he thinks it was too invasive. I honestly have not paid attention to any of the detail. But Alexa apparently has, and there's some reference to numero uno, and I don't know what that is because I haven't been paying attention. But Alexa thinks it was a bit invasive and personal. And I agree. As FW is saying, it's not really about the sex. That's just the symptom. It's the lying and the corruption that's the issue. But yeah, just the fact that she maintained a relationship with him, because he got done like in 2016 or something. Like, it wasn't recent. It was a couple of years ago. Oh, Alexa says that's what they were calling each other privately. Dude, it's got to get a lot more intimate than that before I think they're going too far.
Yeah.
But
I've
like when we heard
some private things that are not very elegant.
We heard the intercepted phone calls between Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles while he was still married to Di, and found out just how bad at sexy talk Charles was, and that was a bit too much information, honestly.
I still fucking play the squidgy tapes whenever I need to get something happening for myself. And others, you know, there'll be a little bit of sting on the stereo, and then, oh, what's that? Squidgy tapes.
Squidgy tapes.
Ooh, hello. What's Azy thinking? Squidgy tapes have come on.
I just love that was like an amateur sort of ham radio guy who was always just scanning the wavelengths, and that was analog mobile phones. So the signal was just going out unencrypted, and he randomly happened on it and recorded it, and it was just like, oh my God.
Well, wasn't it the squidgy tapes that led to one of the greatest Russian spy coups of all time?
I don't know.
Where the Russians found out that the squidgy tapes happened, and when it was ham radio, and they went, hang on a minute, and everyone thinks Russian spying is all about, or you know, the USSR spying was all about, you know, weapons and technology and blah blah blah, and a bit of it was, but it was actually mostly about agriculture and economy. And what they were doing was they were putting CB radios on trucks and scanning farmers harvesting corn and wheat in the US and getting an idea of the futures price of wheat, so that they could have a much better bargaining position when they were buying food next year, because that was like a massive economic cost on the Soviet Union, and they made squillions of dollars out of that. And the Americans just didn't know where they were being screwed, because every time they came with an offer, the Russians came with a counter offer. It was too good to be true, and so they had to go for it. But the Russians were always really well placed, much better placed than anyone else who had no access to the forecast reports.
Yeah.
But the Russians were doing their own forecast reports because they were listening to farmers on their phones talking about prices to each other.
Yeah.
Not colluding or anything illegal.
No.
I mean, they never fucking got in trouble for fucking doing that, which shits me to tears. Oh,
Yeah.
it's America, the land of business and opportunity. Oh, yeah, land of freedom, except that, if you fucking, if you're in business, then that's pretty fucking sacred. You're allowed to shoot people and take away their rights and cheat. I was outraged when that all came out, that there was no huge inquiry into why were farmers being let off talking to each other about what they were going to price their wheat at.
Yeah.
Because that's simple collusion. If any business in Australia got caught doing that,
yeah, well, that's like the
fucking real
guys
estate
doing that
developer.
with wool.
Sorry?
The guys were doing that with wool in Iraq
Absolutely.
or something.
There's no fucking way the wool price could come out so neatly every year. With the quotas that were on, and the quota system was just a fucking joke. We had fucking wool stockpiles. Thank Christ China took off, because we'd still have fucking wool in our fucking cupboards. Every Australian had to fucking keep a piece of their backyard for put 4 bales of wool in, because there's so much fucking wool we couldn't sell. The government would once a year buy wool off farmers, guaranteed. This is your quota, and we're going to buy this much wool from you. And if there's a little bit more, we'll probably buy that too. And they fucking did. And so these fucking farmers were selling wool to the Australian taxpayer, who couldn't sell it because wool is shit. No one wears it because it's scratchy and it's cold and it fucking makes you sweat. And I don't know if you've ever been to school, but school jumpers are made out of carpet. And, fucking, it sucks ass, right? Jumpers weren't made out of Explorer wool. They were made out of fucking this sort of shit that scratched you and abraded your skin.
Yeah.
And were freezing cold outside. And so, you go, oh, here's a woolly jumper. And you go, fuck off. I'm getting a fucking wind cheater. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
no one could sell it because it was
very
shit
flammable.
fibre. And then China came on board and said, yeah, we'll have a lot for sets.
Yeah. 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 Also well, the wool itself's not flammable, but because it has a high lanolin content, any warehouse that housed wool for an extended period of time, the lanolin's soaked into the floorboards. So if there was ever a fire in one of these warehouses, they went up like a Roman candle, because it was all this combustible material soaked into the frame of the building, and just woof. If they went up, they went up. Really,
there were apparently a few Jewish stock takes around.
Oh yeah. Oh, and in one of the last ones I remember, there was an old wool shed near Darling Harbour in Sydney, and it was of historical significance, which developers didn't like. So it mysteriously burnt down. But it fucking, and because people parked all around there because it was right near the city. And I remember it just went up, and then, when it started burning down and these brick walls collapsing onto all the parked cars and shit. And just because you couldn't tell anyone, don't park here, we're burning it down. Classic Sydney developer. Oh, of historical significance, you say? Pity it isn't up to fire code standards. And
that happened all the time.
All the time.
80s. Oh, it's historical significance. Not for fucking long. There was one building that they were having trouble getting squatters out of. And it was historical significance, trying to get the squatters out. And then they sold it to a developer who promised that they were going to keep the historical significance, burnt the fucking thing to the ground. And one of the squatters, who later went missing, got told, some biker enthusiasts came into the building and said, "You have 5 minutes to get the fuck up and get the fuck out. We are burning the place to the ground." And apparently all but one got out. And it was one young man who went back in for some reason. Building was on fire and he went back in. And I've got to go and get mine. Went, "No, Chuggy, don't." Jesus, Chuggy. That was when Stinkle came out because this guy died. And I said, "How did that building burn down?" They said, "Oh, well, it was the druggies.
The homeless
They
smoking in
burned it
bed.
down."
Yeah.
They did it, you know.
Kind of like they had to preserve the facades of some of the historic buildings. And things like, okay, the back of it is just this wooden square box, but the pretty facade is of significance. You have to preserve that with your development that you're doing. And so there'd be all these as supports to hold the facade up while it was just a hole in the ground behind it. And the number of times a bobcat inexplicably got out of control and knocked out all the supports, so the facade fell down. And once they did it, and it fell into the street and nearly because it was just off Martin Place. It was off one of the little streets and it nearly fucking killed people. And by jings did they have a grilling in court. Like, the fine was fucking massive because you couldn't prove what they did, but everyone knew what they did. And
Brisbane was particularly bad. Brisbane was
the Dean brothers in Brisbane would just destroy buildings, and it's like, well, it's gone now. What are you going to do?
And they the most blatant one was they were fighting for this pub being historical in Brisbane, and the night that the court decided it was historical, it burnt to the ground and killed 7 backpackers.
Yeah, but the Dean brothers didn't even bother with fires. There was this concert thing. It was like this big pink clamshell that developers wanted to get rid of, and there was a court thing protecting it. And they just went in one night with bulldozers and wreckers, and they just went, "Well, it's fucking gone now. What are you going to do?"
Well, yeah. That's right. They went and demolished it. They just did it overnight.
Yeah, they just don't care. And that happened in Sydney as well. There were a couple of egregious examples of them just destroying, particularly the interiors. Ones where the interior was of significance. They just go in at night and destroy everything and just go, "Oh, look, vandals fucked everything." It's not very significant now,
vandals,
is it? Yeah.
With the correct spelling of political slogans.
Yeah. But I always loved, there was a theatre. It's like on the corner of George Street and something, but it was like right there in the city, and the developers wanted to knock it down. And it was the oldest theatre in Australia. It was a big, grand theatre, but this was just before like Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals got big. So like it was before Cats. So whatever year that was, it was a couple years before that. And there were no big shows, and so it wasn't making money. And the developers wanted to turn it into apartments or whatever. And they said, "Well, no, it's the oldest theatre in Australia. It's really significant." And the interior was beautiful. And they just went in one night with sledgehammers and destroyed the interior and said, "Well, it's not beautiful now, is it?" And the fight went on for years. And they just through bribery of multiple state governments, they knocked it down. But then it was a hole in the ground for more than a decade because multiple developers went broke. It's something now, but because when I lived in Sydney, it was a hole in the ground. It was a hole in the ground for more than someone. And then, of course, just after they fucked it, Cats came out. And Sydney couldn't stage it. They didn't have a theatre big enough to stage it. So it was exclusively in Melbourne. And it could have been staged in this theatre and made a fortune if they didn't destroy this theatre. It was just the ultimate irony that these greedy fucks lost millions and millions and millions of dollars. But, Scumbags.
Yes, well, Yes, crime never pays, except does a lot.
Nobody's saying about developers should be required to build a replica of the historic building. That happened on St Kilda Pier when the cafe on St Kilda Pier burnt down, and the developers went, "Oh well, I guess we'll have to just do a modern thing like we've been trying to get done for decades." And the council said, "You can build an exact replica, and that's it. Nothing else. You could build an exact replica of what was there before, and that's it." And in fact, the developers might not have done that fire, because there was a guy who was prosecuted for it. As a guy who had mental health issues, and it might not have been the developers.
They think that was a genuine. They think that was a genuine, because because the developers wanted to do that. And the St Kilda council, the council said, no, if you're gonna do an exact replica. You're gonna repost it all and do an exact replica because it's historical and it's properly historical. And actual old Melbourne money is interested in that, so it stays. And so they were a little bit gingerly about doing anything to it. Then it burnt down, and then the only thing they updated was the plumbing and the electrical.
Oh well, obviously that, yeah. But no, the building is an exact replica of what was there before.
And they sourced the timbers from the same places, and they sourced the paints were modern because they were environmentally not as nasty. And the corrugated roof was zinc aluminum, but it was the same colour. And they did a special powder coat for the zinc aluminum for that build. And but beyond the plumbing, which they hid, because they hid all the stormwater inside the framing, and all of the in and out pipes come under the main, inside the main beam of the pier. So you can't see the cables and the pipes going in and out.
Yeah.
And they had to modernise the toilets because it didn't have one.
Yeah.
Didn't have one. And they thought, as it was a cafe and about a kilometre walk out there, they'd better. Because, you didn't want to have to race back to the Beaconsfield Hotel and go, I really need a bit. After having a gelati. Gelato, sorry. Gelati is the plural of gelato. And that's clearly where my brain has come to an end.
That's okay.
Western Australia never had to worry about historical anything because they weren't. They just built stuff. Gold Coast never had to worry about environmental anything because they built high-rises on sand dunes.
Yeah, and which made wind patterns that just eroded all the beaches. So they've got this critical problem with erosion on the beaches because they're fucking stupid.
But fucking, I've heard people say, "Oh, I love surfing at surfers because the sun's out of your eyes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon."
Right, because of the towers casting shadows across it.
Because of all the fucking high-rise buildings block the sun from the beach from 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's all just, as soon as you hit the waves at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no more sun, I can just surf here and it's fine.
That's hilarious.
That's like, what the fuck? Get your tanning done in the morning because I'm glad it's over.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous.
I want to sit in the shade on a beach. Don't bring an umbrella. But I went there when I was a kid, and there were fucking masses of towers, And then I went back recently. I say recently, it'll be 10 years now. And it's just like, I didn't know you could fit that many fucking towers in a place. Is this Hong Kong? No, it's surfers. And it's because they all want to stick it in the Surfers Paradise council area or shire area.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
you know, no point not having beachfront property. You know, we're 3 minutes walk from the beach, past 8 buildings.
Yeah.
You know.
Actually, speaking about horrible beach developments, did you hear this story? Bondi in Sydney, beachgoers could soon find themselves limited to one section of the beach after Waverley Council received a plan to privatise a portion of the beach for rich people. They want to section off a part of the beach and charge entry to be on that part of the beach. What do you reckon? That's the heading of this story has someone saying it's un-Australian. Sorry, dude, that's one of the most Australian things.
That's one of the most Australian things ever. Is the rich
people just going, that bit that people are already using that's regarded as, you know, the common property of the people, I'm taking that. Like those fucking apartments that got built all around Circular Quay. Circular Quay just used to be open and public land, and they sold it all off. It's the most fucking Australian thing I can think of. And then, yes, again, speak to our First Peoples and say, does this sound un-Australian to you? A piece of land that was already being used by someone just being taken by someone with more power and influence? Or is that the most Australian thing you've ever heard
of? And you know that Circular Quay, that was done in 2 terms. It was done in 2 terms of the Liberal government. It was all done, all finished.
Yeah. Apparently, some super rich guy, because, you know, like it's a big, long stretch of apartments and whatnot. In one of them, some super rich guy, I remember reading this, he progressively bought, because there was some whole big sort of tender thing to buy the apartments because there was enough rich people that there was a lot of fighting over them. And so you could only buy one, and no matter how rich you were, you could only buy one. But then once they were sold, they were just privately owned. So he progressively bought up every apartment on one floor of this thing and like knocked the walls out between them. So he lives on an entire floor of this apartment building. And that's like something like well north of $100 million he spent doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess, dude, that's what you want to use your money for.
You've got ultra penthouse.
Yeah, stupid criminal amount of money at your disposal. You know, it's
the ultra penthouse. I mean, you bring your yacht QE4 up to your porch, and step over the railings.
Yeah,
and say, "Pick me up on Sunday," and then going to your house.
Yeah,
where you have facilities, and I imagine onsen bath in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is quite long. Like this was like 20 apartments or something. Like it's a very large expanse that this guy is occupying. So yeah.
Most of it's pool room. There's a bedroom and a kitchenette and pool room.
Yeah. And an indoor football field or something. So it was like, you know, it's just ridiculous. Raiders is asking, was it Ita Buttros's nephew? I don't think so. Who's Ita Buttros's nephew? Like it was someone super fucking rich.
Most of the richest people in Australia you'll never have heard of.
Yeah, there's a few who keep it a bit quiet.
They keep themselves out of the press on a fairly rigorous basis. There's one family. I mean, this is all now in the realm of conspiracy theory. There's one family in Australia who has convinced the government that it's in the government's best interest to keep their names denoticed out of the press in perpetuity. Now, when I first heard that, I thought that's a heap of bullshit. But then I thought, if you think about the industrial bucks behind that kind of cash and the kind of industrial bucks you need to make your, I don't know, weapons industry go, that's the kind of capital base that you can tap for making, I don't know, something you don't want anyone to know about. Basically you don't want them to go away or to be in any kind of jeopardy. And if they're building a submarine factory, you don't want them to be known about. You know, I want some keys to your submarine factory, or little Jimmy doesn't get to school tomorrow. Right. So I started to go, actually, that sort of makes sense. My old man once was doing some plumbing out at a car driving school, and politicians were being taught how to defensively drive. So it's all skids and turns and car bumping and all the rest of it, and all the cool stuff you see on the TV.
Yeah.
And he was complaining, your tax dollars at work. And the owner of the school said, well, yeah, kind of. That girl there has access to all of the codes which release the ammunition to all the FA-18s in Australia. That guy there knows where all the submarines are that Australia owns at all times. That guy there knows who's on and off the roster of the SAS at any one time, and knows where they live and their real names. Because when they go to work, they don't have a real name anymore. They have a given name and they have a given passport, which they use in their life. And if you and I are to meet them, that would be the name that we would know them by. But their real name is held in trust by the government, so that when they retire or get out or whatever, they can fade into the background without getting fucking kidnapped. And so, these people, these backbenchers, these boring politicians, know a lot of shit that they mustn't be fucking caught with. And that's why they also give it to the backbenchers too, not the front benchers, because the ministers would be obvious targets for knowing.
Yeah, they have police protection. Yeah.
Right. But if you catch them, they don't actually know anything. It's all their staff that knows the stuff.
Yeah.
And they just go, we want this general strategy done. We just want this general tactic done. And all their staff, their underlings, know where all the keys to all the sheds are. And
absolutely.
It's them, the ones that you want to fucking
train up a bit. Yeah. And that's the thing, like 99% of them will never need any of those skills. But holy crap, if you end up being the 1%, it's kind of like the celebs have got, a lot of the big celebs have those tank-like cars. They look like high-end BMWs or Mercedes, but they're like the US president's car. The doors are this thick, and they got run flats, and they can actually run over a landmine and keep going and whatnot. And again, you never hear a story of where they've actually needed it, but they've looked at it and go like, you don't take security precautions, someone's going to kidnap your kids and ransom them for you.
Yeah.
So they're just going
easy. You make it easy for them. That's what they come gunning for. And in fact, at the end of the Second World War, the Americans asked why the Japanese attacked so many of the Pacific American bases. And the Japanese said, well, you weren't defending them. And they were an easy mark. And so part of the US psychology about be more aggressive than anyone else on the earth is about make sure that everyone knows that you're not an easy mark. you can go overboard.
You can. You could be the US and spend more than the rest of the world combined, but yeah.
American cousins. You can go too far. You can also, it amazes me that such a Protestant nation, America, because they do the Catholic cognitive dissonance thing better than anyone else in the world, because they've got rights to life, health, liberty, and the pursuit of touchingness.
Yeah.
But as soon as anyone else scares them, they're allowed to take their rights away from them at the drop of a hammer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Against a cap. And it's like, what about their rights to life, liberty, and touching ponies?
No.
And don't be the wrong colour.
Yeah. I was listening to a fascinating podcast from Behind the Bastards. It's one I listen to regularly. A couple of weeks ago, they did a two-parter on the School of the Americas. He calls it the deadliest school in history. It's a political thing that America started in the 20th century and it's fascinating to all the published stuff. Post-World War II, America had control of 50% of the world's wealth, like 6% of the world's population, and they controlled 50% of the world's wealth. And the dominant political theory was we need to make sure we always have this, not we need to make sure that everyone has what they need so there's peace and stability everywhere. It's we need to take steps to preserve this level of disparity that we have. And they started the School of the Americas, and this was training people in South America to overthrow any socialist government that got elected. So they trained all the coup leaders and genociders and whatnot of the late 20th century in South America. It was called the School of the Americas. And just listening to the history of it, it's like, God damn, that's super fucked. And just straight quotes from the politicians of, okay, currently we've got more than everyone else combined. We need to do everything in our power to keep it that way. And it's like, Jesus Christ. The alternative would be, let's use our influence to make sure so many people have enough that things are kind of calm and peaceful. It's like, no, communism is a threat to us. We must squash it wherever we perceive it to be. And that's where all the coups in South America came from this School of the Americas.
And you look at Russia today, not the TV channel, but you look at Russia today, and they're so militant and so aggro and so fucking nasty. Did you go, why are you this bitter and angry? And then you just look at history and go, well,
yeah, there's something behind it. Yeah,
they were fucked over pretty hard. And then in the 90s, the Americans didn't have to rub their nose in it. They didn't have to do that, but they did.
They did.
They could have moved in with the German/Japanese economic package straight away.
Yeah.
They could have done that, and they didn't. They waited until plutonium was starting to be stolen. Then they moved in.
Yeah.
Fuck, if you were smart, and it was Boris Yeltsin, so he wasn't. Smart.
Weekend with Bernie's. Sorry. I'm sure he was dead for about a year before they admitted it. And they were popping him up and walking him around.
He was brain dead when he started. I mean, fuck. The reason they put him on was because he stood on a tank while it was being fired at the fucking White House going, this is wrong. And everyone said, yeah, that guy's right. And he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Standing on a fucking firing tank who's making its fucking its intentions clear by shooting the Parliament House.
Yeah.
And stopping the coup, and then he was all of a sudden the guy. And they thought they could control him, and they did to an extent. except that he just kept on fucking up so badly that he was more detrimental than good. Then the oligarchs moved in and took everything. They took everything to the point where it was bad before, and then it got worse. And that's why people still fucking pine after the communist days, because in the 90s, when the oligarch came in and took everything, you basically got to be a whore or eat grass. You know, it was a gangster paradise. You had fucking Spetsnaz basically being private security to fucking rich oligarchs who basically cruised through and said, I now own state-controlled businesses and I'm modernising them. Because I'm modernising them with state funds, I own them and all the profits will go to me. All the jobs, because I'm modernising, I've just lost 3/4 of the jobs. I will be lauded for. And, you know, these people are being paid, therefore I'm the good guy. And they were.
Absolutely.
They were the good guy because they were the only people paying people to do work. Everyone else was working for free because there was no money. And so people were pining after the old Soviet days where at least you'd get fed, even if it was only a loaf of bread a month. And then you get Putin come back in and going, well, you know what?
I can bring you the old Soviet ways.
I remember when everyone was happy was when they had a strong arm leader telling them what to do because they're a nation of peasants who are stupid.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
I don't know if you've been to Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Anyway, it's actually bedtime, but I actually want to throw in, while we were talking about Russians with attitude, when I looked up what was today significant for, it's the anniversary of the Sobibor Uprising. And for those who don't know what that is, it was a Nazi extermination camp in Poland. And people often said, when people talk about it, the Holocaust, why didn't the Jews rebel? And I was like, well, sometimes they did. And they got word that this one was going to be shut down. And they knew that meant everyone was just going to be killed. That's what the Nazis did. When they shut down one of these camps, they just murdered everyone. And they I think it was mainly Polish people in there, and they were trying to come up with an escape plan, and everyone was paranoid and whatnot, and it wasn't getting far until some Red Army POWs came in who were Jewish, and they were all about military organization, and they did this plan and it worked. That whole plan, okay, the officers are the dangerous ones, they've got the guns, and they had a plan, and on the day they just methodically went around murdering SS officers. They didn't get all of them, and then it got to a critical point where one guy who they thought was quite important to kill they couldn't find, and they just said fuck it, and they just tried to something, and then shooting started, and most of them got killed, but 50 or 60 survived the war. And that's the thing, when you know for a fact, okay, we're definitely going to kill, because hundreds sort of did a breakout and they got killed in the breakout or soon after. 100 or so never broke out, and the Germans just executed them. But of the people who broke out, 50 or 60 actually survived the war. So yeah, I just thought, as we were speaking about Russians with attitude, it was the anniversary of that, which was pretty spectacular. But anyway, it's bedtime, so good night. And Celtic King wants you to check out his Pornhub account. But okay, yeah. But it's bedtime for Bonzo. And so we're going to see all you fine people another time. Take care.
Thanks for being on your device. I appreciate
trying to find my mouse button. Bye.